1951, India was the first country to launch a national family planning program. Since then, the population has doubled to nearly 900 million. Every birth is termed a demographic nightmare. But we have reduced our investments in health from 3.3% of the budget in 1951 to 1.6% in 1991. The fate of every child depends on the nutritional and economic status that it inherits. That will later determine its place as an adult in society. Today, there are millions of unemployed struggling for basics like water, food, shelter, health, education, and jobs. Every child who is born ultimately joins the queues for its share of the country's resources and infrastructure. The impact of this struggle for a share is most visible in large cities. Whether it is Bombay or Benares, the stress on space and resources is massive, and the pressure keeps increasing. The natural population is overpowered by migrants who come with the hope of a better life. Many of them are farmers whose landholdings have diminished with every generation. They have also left behind stories of drought, famine, and lack of essential infrastructure. For those who are illiterate and unskilled, the options are limited. They remain on the periphery of urban life with almost no facilities in the urban slums. The slums just keep growing with every young migrant who comes into the city. The scenario in the villages is not visibly stressed. It is sparse and dispersed. 77% Indians live in rural areas, mostly in villages with a population of less than 1,000. There are more than 4 lakh such villages. It takes decades before basic facilities like healthcare centers or safe drinking water supply reach such areas. In this backdrop, concepts like planned parenthood are difficult to come by. The birth of children is a natural and endless process.
Department of Family Planning is now admitting that family planning program has failed to yield the results which was expected out of it. Above everything else, the findings of the 1991 census shows that the growth of population in the 80s is even higher than what it was in the 70s, and the growth in the 70s was higher than what was in the 60s.
I don't think the family planning program has failed. The couple protection rate has increased in terms of contraceptive prevalence from 10.4% in 1971 to 43.5% in 1992. I mentioned earlier that we have averted 143 million births on a cumulative basis. I mentioned earlier that if it were not for family planning, your rate of growth would have been 2.71% instead of 2.14%. All these are indicators to show that family planning has been accepted by the people.
160 lakh people are added to the population every year. The vast network of family planning centers are unable to stem this growth. One reasoning is that the family planning program has been a medical intervention for a social problem. The success of the program is judged by the number of sterilized couples or contraceptive users. Male sterilizations were common in the pre-emergency era. Since then, female sterilizations or tubectomies like this one have become common. Use of contraception is still very limited.
The mistake which we did commit is to make the program, which is a large complex social problem, into the simplistic program of just achieving sterilization targets, and lately adding to sterilization a few other contraceptive practices. Now, and as against being conscious of the birth rate or of the IMR or of the literacy, civil servants like myself, and I must confess I am also one of this group which participated in the initial planning of these programs, we all thought that just by sterilizing several million people, the birth rate would be brought down. Mathematically it is so, but what happens is that many of the people who are sterilized are older people whose sterilization does not produce a demographic effect.
The private issue of a couple's reproductive behavior has not been influenced by diktats of population control. Rather, the reproductive behavior is linked to social beliefs and the survival of newborn babies. Every year, nearly 2 million infants die before their first birthday. Low birth weight babies like this one are not unusual. Young children and pregnant or lactating mothers are most vulnerable to malnutrition and anemia. The chances of survival for the mother and child are equally grim. Indian families, Indian mothers are accustomed to seeing their children die. It becomes the motivating factor to bear more children, especially sons, to ensure the income-earning adults who will provide social security in old age.
This question of 2 children is not relevant to Indian social reality. By 2 children they mean 2 sons, and therefore you cannot say that they want to have 2 children quickly and then they go in for sterilization and stop. No, this is a situation which will prevail if they have 2 sons, 2 surviving sons.
Radhika Devi lives outside Banaras in Uttar Pradesh, the most populous state of India, with 140 million people. A large percentage of them have attitudes similar to hers.
पर लड़कियां लेकर के हम क्या करेंगे? लड़कियां तो
What does one do with girls? They'll go away to their homes. If there is a son, at least there will be lineage. What does one do with girls? They go away, and then there you are.
The most important factor which can be emphasized is that the people want that there should be a lineage in the family. In that case, they prefer a son, and family planning program as such do not put more emphasis to this situation.
Though this young lady's husband lives away, conception is ensured every time he comes home. Usha Rani cannot adopt birth control because the first male child died. There are 3 girls, but grandma is still watching the growth of the second male child. The boy has just gotten 8 months. Let the boy get sturdy, move around, then the operation can be done. Malti, the eldest daughter-in-law, belongs to the same joint family. During her 5th pregnancy, she secretly underwent sterilization. Under her influence, the husband of the younger daughter-in-law, Indulata, got himself sterilized after 3 sons. Indulata wouldn't have allowed it if there were 3 girls. In the religious eyes of their mother-in-law, such events are unforgivable. Amma feels children should be just born and they will eat by their own fate. I used to conceive very quickly. I was fed up and got the operation done. In 9 years, I've had 5 children. Tell me, how many would I have had by now? I'd have had 24 by now. And if there are 24, tell me, how would they have been fed and clothed? There are 5 children, and that's not too little. I had 5 even when I was conscious of it all. I had thought only of 3, but 2 just came on their own. My Ammaji was very angry with me. And she says, you are the leader. First you got it done, that's why my other sons got sterilized. If you hadn't done it, they wouldn't have either. That's why you are unhappy and you have illnesses, because you have sinned. But this is not a sin, it's a good thing. This is not a sin. What does one do with more children? More than riches, a son. When she got operated, I didn't eat for 3 days. I didn't perform the birth ritual for the newborn or the mother. Ritual for whom? A eunuch? Tell me, if there is devotion left for God, how can I do such a thing? Pray while people go about becoming eunuchs? No, I don't. Not with eunuchs. For the religious-minded like Amma, a woman's fertility is sacred, her ability to bear sons even more so. The belief is directly linked to male-related rituals, which are an inherent part of the Indian ethos. Ancestor worship rituals like this Pindadan ceremony or cremation rites are not just obligatory rites performed by male heirs. Elders consider it good kismet for the next birth to have sons performing these rituals.
Family planning is a personal problem of every individual. It is one's right to have as many children they want to. But once we take care of them and assure them of a good health and good socio-economic status, family planning will come automatically. It is the 4 Indian major states in northern India, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Rajasthan, is where the problem lies. And these are the areas where there are other factors besides family planning program which also play a adverse role in getting the desired goals. Number 1, if you look from healthcare delivery viewpoint, it is the availability of good infrastructure facilities for primary health care. Second thing is in terms of literacy, which is equally important. Women's status, which is very important. These are 2 other variables along with the healthcare delivery system which play a major role.
Complaints about the healthcare system are so commonplace, people just take it in their stride. Medicines in short supply or arriving much too late. Doctors not present to attend to a crisis.
If we go there, we find that the facilities or person we need are not there. Meanwhile, we may actually be putting our patient into more danger. So then we think that instead of going to them, we should go straight to the city, to Banaras, because we must have the assurance that we will get what we want.
All over India, the one day on which services are available in health centers is Immunization Day. Mothers demand nursemaids to be present. Technically, nursemaids must reside at sub-centers, but often it is not so. Everybody complains about A&Ms, but according to the A&Ms, they have their operational problems too. Resolving the A&M issue is crucial to the family planning program because the credibility of the entire infrastructure rests with these grassroots workers.
First of all are the problems of water and electricity. Then there is no guarantee of security for them. That's why A&Ms run off to the city and make their own arrangements. And that's why the rapport with the village people breaks. They reach once in a while, so they can't really do much. What can't be accomplished in months can't be done by going just once or twice a month.
The credibility of the family planning program remains low in the eyes of the common people. Every health sub-center may not be in as ramshackle a condition as this one, but many remain unused. There are over 22,000 primary health centers and over 1.25 lakh sub-centers spread over the country. Neither the state governments nor the central government have been able to manage or monitor them successfully.
The family planning program is a 100% centrally sponsored scheme right since its inception. The implementation of the program is the responsibility of the state governments because health is a state subject. We find that implementation of the program is variable throughout the length and breadth of the country. Some states are implementing it very well, other states are not implementing it so well. And it is important that the credibility of the program should increase through better implementation of the program by the states.
Maharashtra has the third largest population in India with nearly 80 million people. It is considered to be one of the top performing states in achieving sterilization targets for the family planning program. The birth rate in Maharashtra is lower than in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan or Haryana, but it is still comparatively high. Citizens are getting conscious of health in this area. They offer village land or buildings for health centers where there are none. This building was provided by a local flour mill owner who belonged to the village. This and other similar centers are being operated under the Central Family Planning Scheme, but is being managed by an NGO. Women come for regular ante- and postnatal checkups. But the impact on old social attitudes is not yet visible. There is resistance to contraception like elsewhere in India. Sterilization is acceptable, but largely to those who have male children. The effort of the NGO is to build a committed workforce and a credible round-the-clock infrastructure. Workers feel family planning motivation is irrelevant without basic health education. Tanubai Lukande is a community health worker. She works with the NGO. She is aware of the social barriers against planned families, but perseveres in a spirit of dedicated hope. If there are 2 girls and 1 boy, then they agree for sterilization. But if there are only girls, 3, 4 girls, even 5, they must have a son. Till they have a son, they won't be sterilized. They must have a son, they say, to carry on the family name and please God. Without a son, no operation. Kavita's reasoning is similar to our Amma of Uttar Pradesh. She cannot verbalize concepts of social security and infant mortality. The only reasoning is God. They felt there must be a son. I didn't have a son. That's how it is. Desire for a son, for respect, for the gods. I visit them all the time to ensure immunization, checkups, examine everything. In that sense, they do have faith in us, but only in the case of sons. The boy is okay, they know that. But they feel, will he stay healthy? They always feel the boy is not okay. We explain everything. There is a doctor, injections are available, all facilities are there. We explain a lot. Everything. But with sons, they feel like he must be 5 years old. Well, he must be 5. They feel that suppose we are sterilized after 1 boy and then something happens tomorrow, that's why they wait. When the boy is older, then they are ready. The fear of losing a male child is deep-rooted. Mothers will offer any reason to retain their fertile status, in case the need arises to bear 1 more son. The risk of conceiving yet another child is far from the mind. With 2 daughters and 1 son, Surekha is not yet ready for sterilization or even contraception. I am also weak. He doesn't keep too well. That's why I haven't had the operation. The desire for a son knows no limits. Vishnu Mane is a painter earning a bare living. He and his wife Chaya are convinced a family is incomplete without a son. They have 5 girls and 1 boy. The second youngest was always dressed like a boy, as if to fulfill a subconscious desire. The burden of dowry for 5 girls is acceptable to Vishnu and Chaya, but having no son was not. 2 girls first. Then a 3rd girl was born. So I thought, well, let's have the operation. But then I had twins. Again 2 girls. Then I thought, well, forget it. Let them keep being born. But I want a son. I want one. Then I had a son. Nothing can take Chaya away from her son. She does not use contraceptives because of the fear of side effects which may indispose her. She will not go for sterilization because she wonders, what if something happens to the boy while she is at hospital?
We are on the wrong track as far as the family planning program is concerned. This is because the program is centered around sterilization or a terminal method, and therefore 35 plus women are your targets, which is absolutely wrong. It is conceptually unsound. So my target is the unmarried younger age group, say 14 to 18 years, who are potentially the married women and the mothers. Therefore, if you do something worthwhile for this age group, give them secondary level education and the skills, I don't mean this graduate and MA and PhD and all these degrees, then you will have the concept of responsible parenthood built in through the system of education.
Responsible parenthood has come about in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. The state and its people have a different character in spite of similar socio-economic and cultural traditions. For years, social reformers have used public occasions like marriages and gatherings to influence people on major issues, including family planning. Tamil Nadu also has a strong work culture in its administrative services. So, in spite of poverty and unemployment, there has been a remarkable impact of the government's family planning program. The beginnings were not easy. Krishnaveni Amma has 8 daughters. The last was born when her daughter had her first. Embarrassed, her husband underwent sterilization. Until then, he would shout at family planning motivators, saying, would they give him a son? Neighbors convinced Krishnaveni Amma to keep trying for a son. Now she feels in changed times, 2 children should be enough. Krishnaveni Amma's present, though belated thinking is influenced by her contact with the village health nurse Papati. For Papati, people are not targets for family planning. She feels people must understand health education. Even then, motivation for family planning is the last priority after mother and child care. She knows Chandra will not accept family planning advice, but that does not deter her from ensuring that Chandra has a safe delivery.
பொது சுகாதாரமும் குடும்ப நல திட்டமும் வந்து இணைந்து செயல்படுறது தான் நல்லது.
Right from the beginning we do the follow-up. All the blood tests, urine tests, weighing them every month.
Follow பண்ணி blood test, urine test, weight எடுத்து
So between them and us there is a rapport. One must establish contact, have unity of mind, rapport. Then they listen. If we tell them about health education, they follow what we say. Then later when we motivate them, they listen and undergo the sterilization. In Tamil Nadu, the effort of confidence building is supported by a functional infrastructure at all levels. This sterilization patient did not need motivation even though she has 3 girls. It would be incongruous to say that lapses do not occur here. Doctors do go off for private practice, medicines do get misappropriated, but within these limits, service and facilities are available to the people regularly. In Tamil Nadu, there is pressure right from the top. They say we should stay at the headquarters. It is necessary. Doctors, nurses, supervisors, they're all there. And anyone can come and check anytime. It is only by being at the headquarters that the patients can come and we can help do our service. If we are not there, just come and go from somewhere outside, they will get no satisfaction. We must be available 24 hours. The greatest support for the family planning program has been the midday meal. This protein-rich meal is distributed to hundreds of children in the state. Such efforts have activated a process of faith in the system, that with nutrition and healthcare, children do survive.
In Tamil Nadu, the number of children born has diminished progressively by 55,000 children every year. Now this is an achievement. I think this has been achieved because we have looked at things other than just contraception. This program will succeed provided we look at things like specifically the age of female marriage, the literacy level particularly of females, the program of infant mortality reduction, of spacing between one child and the other, and the conviction which we can give to people that they should start learning about contraception early and stop having children also comparatively early.
The people of Tamil Nadu have caught on to the concept of balancing between resources and the number of children. Some experts say this is poverty-induced family planning, but it looks more like economic wisdom. 22-year-old Shakuntala has studied up to class 5. Her husband Ramakrishnan up to the 8th. He shares 3 acres of land with 3 brothers. The couple have 1 son and 1 daughter. When we decided it was enough, elders did try to dissuade them. But her husband said, it's our desire, not theirs. So, Shakuntala underwent sterilization. Since then, she tries to convince others too. Some agree, some do not. She feels, for the sake of the country, everyone must make an effort to have only 2 children. Shakuntala will not pose a burden to the demography of India. But over 16 million people do get added to the population every year. They grow into potential childbearing adults. What factors will control their reproductive behavior?
Unless we make a success of the minimum needs program, we are in for very serious trouble in the years to come. And you can't blame only population growth. This is a failure to give to our masses the basic needs like drinking water, sewerage, sanitation, primary health, literacy.
For the very survival of the country, it is necessary to see that the 40% of the population do not or does not remain at that level of human degradation. And that is the crux of a future family planning program.